The dream of a Mediterranean life. It's a powerful one, isn't it? You can almost feel the warm sun on your skin, hear the turquoise water lapping against ancient honey-colored stone. A life where history isn't just in museums, but in the very streets you walk every day. This is the picture Malta paints, and it does it so well. We know because we bought it. We packed our lives into boxes, chasing that sun-drenched dream of a slower, richer way of living. But here's what the postcard doesn't show you. It doesn't prepare you for the moment you realize the entire country seems to be one giant, glorious, chaotic construction site. It doesn't warn you that island time can feel a lot like never time when you're waiting for an important delivery. And it definitely doesn't mention the humid, sticky hug of a Sirocco wind that dusts your entire apartment with a fine layer of Saharan sand. We moved here to find out what life in Malta is really like, beyond the travel brochures. And that's what we're sharing today. This is the complete, unfiltered guide based on our own trials, our mistakes, and our wins. We'll break down the true cost of living, from rent to a pint of the local Sisk beer. We'll get into the rich local culture, from the explosive joy of a village festival to the unwritten social rules you need to know. And we'll give you our honest take on what to really expect when you trade your old life for a new one on this fascinating and sometimes frustrating island. Our journey to Malta started with a search for sun, but also for a change of pace. We were sold on the idea of an English-speaking country in the EU, a place overflowing with history, and a lifestyle that was more about living than just working. The plan was simple: swap gray skies and long commutes for 300 days of sunshine a year and a life by the sea. Touching down felt like stepping back in time. The air was thick with the smell of salt and hot stone. Driving from the airport, we were just captivated. Limestone buildings glowed in the sun, balconies overflowed with flowers, and every corner seemed to hide another ancient church or a statue of a saint. Our first few weeks were a total honeymoon. We explored the silent city of Medina at dusk, swam in the crazy clear water of St. Peter's Pool, and ate our body weight in pastizi, these delicious, flaky pastries that are basically a national treasure. It didn't feel like moving. It felt like we'd checked into a holiday that was never going to end. But a holiday isn't a life. And little by little, reality started to seep in. The first crack in the dream appeared when we started looking for an apartment. Those stories we'd heard about affordable Mediterranean living crashed right into a booming property market. We were seeing rents in popular expat spots like Slima and St. Julian's that were just as high as in major European cities. Finding a place that was both affordable and didn't come with a 7 a.m. jackhammer alarm became our first big mission. Then came the bureaucracy. Oh, the bureaucracy. Anyone who has moved to Malta has a story about this. It's like a rite of passage. We're talking endless queues, paperwork that seems to multiply overnight, and a system that moves at the speed of a melting glacier. Getting our residency permits felt like a full-time job, a real test of patience we had not prepared for. We learned fast that the relaxed Mediterranean approach to time also applies to official business and the driving. Nothing can really prepare you for driving in Malta. It's an art form, a mix of pure confidence and unspoken rules that aren't in any driver's manual. Roundabouts are a ballet of nerve, and parking is a highly competitive sport. We quickly understood why, even on a small island, traffic is a national headache and a major downside for a lot of people here. These weren't deal breakers, but they were the first clues that the dream had some fine print. This beautiful, historic island wasn't a perfect resort. It was a living, breathing, and sometimes challenging country. The honeymoon was over, and our real life in Malta was just getting started. So, the big question everyone asks, is Malta actually affordable? The answer is, it's complicated. It can be cheaper than a lot of Western Europe, but prices have been creeping up. Honestly, your lifestyle choices will be the biggest thing that determines your budget. Let's start with the biggest expense for most people: rent. This is where that dream of cheap island living can get a serious reality check. If you want to live in the busy central areas like Sliema, St. Julian's, or the capital, Valletta, you need to be ready. A one-bedroom apartment here can easily set you back between $900 and $1,500 a month. A two-bedroom? Think $1,400 to $1,800. These areas are popular for a reason. They're packed with restaurants and shops with a big expat community, but you pay for that convenience. But if you're willing to look a little further out, your money goes a lot further. Head south, or to towns away from the center, and the rent for a similar one-bedroom can drop to between $500 and $700. And then there's Gozo, Malta's sister island. It's much quieter, more rural, and way cheaper. You can find beautiful places there for a fraction of the price on the main island, but you do trade the hustle and bustle for peace and quiet. The key is to come here and actually explore different areas before you sign a long-term lease. Next up, utilities. Your water and electricity are handled by one company, ARMS, and bills come every 2 months. An average bill for a normal apartment might be around $80 to $150 a month, but this can change dramatically. In the summer, from July to September, the heat and humidity are no joke. You will be running your air conditioning, and you will see that on your bill. On the flip side, Maltese homes are built to stay cool, which means they get cold and damp in the winter. There's no central heating, so you'll be using electric heaters or dehumidifiers, which also eats up electricity. High-speed internet is easy to find and pretty well priced, usually around $30 or $35 a month. Let's talk groceries. This is where you can definitely save money if you're smart about it. A monthly grocery bill for one person could be anywhere from $220 to $400. Big discount supermarkets like Lidl are great for stocking up on basics. But the real joy is shopping like a local. Every village has its own small grocers, and you'll find these amazing fruit and vegetable trucks called vans, parked on street corners, selling fresh, seasonal produce. It's not just cheaper, it connects you to the rhythm of local life. As you'd expect on an island, anything imported is going to be more expensive. Now, transportation. Malta has a huge public bus system that covers both islands. For residents, it's super cheap, and a monthly pass costs very little. But while the network is big, the service can be unpredictable. Buses can be late or completely full, especially in tourist season. This leads a lot of expats to get a car. But be warned, this opens up a whole new can of worms. The traffic can be genuinely awful, and finding a parking spot can become a daily, soul-sucking mission. Cars themselves are also more expensive to buy here than in a lot of other EU countries because of a high registration tax. Gas is reasonably priced, but the real cost of a car here is paid in time and sanity. When it comes to healthcare, Malta has a great reputation. The public system is free for residents and EU citizens. That said, a lot of expats and locals choose to get private health insurance to skip the waiting times for specialists and have more choice. A basic private plan might cost between $100 and $200 a month for one person. Even a visit to a private doctor is very affordable, often just $15 to $20. Finally, your social life. Eating and drinking out can be as cheap or as expensive as you make it. A coffee is usually around £2.40. A pint of the local beer, Xisk, is about $3.50. You can grab a couple of pastizzi for less than €1. A meal at a casual restaurant will probably be about $20 a person, while a nice 3-course dinner for 2 will be closer to $70. So what does that all add up to? A single person living a pretty normal lifestyle can probably expect to spend around $1,500 to $2,000 a month. A family of 4 would likely need somewhere between $3,100 and $4,000 a month, depending mostly on rent and school choices. And it's not the budget paradise some people think it is, but it does offer a really good quality of life for the cost, especially if you learn to live a little more like a local. Getting used to the daily rhythm of life here is probably one of the biggest adjustments you'll make. The concept of time in Malta is, well, it's fluid. Punctuality is definitely expected in business, but the overall pace of life is just much more relaxed. This is what a lot of us are looking for, but it can also drive you crazy until you get used to it. A key part of the culture to understand is the riposo, the traditional midday break. Especially in the summer heat, a lot of the smaller family-run shops and businesses will just close for a few hours in the afternoon. This isn't just about avoiding the heat, it's a deep-rooted tradition. It means you have to plan your errands. You can't just decide to pop out to the hardware store at 2 p.m. and expect it to be open. You learn to structure your day around it. Busy mornings, a quiet pause in the afternoon, and then life picks back up in the early evening. The weather pretty much dictates life here. The summers are long, hot, and dry, with temperatures often climbing past 35 degrees Celsius. Life slows down. The beaches get packed, and the main goal is just staying cool. But it's the winters that often catch expats by surprise. They're mild, rarely dipping below 10 degrees C, but they can be really damp and humid. Because the homes are built to let heat escape, That dampness can get into your bones, and you'll find yourself in a constant battle with mold. A dehumidifier isn't a luxury here. It's an essential winter appliance. The work week is a standard Monday to Friday, but your social life and community are just part of the everyday fabric. After work, you'll find people gathering at the local band clubs or on the village plaza, the main square. Life is lived outdoors and in public as much as possible. It's a welcome change from a culture where you just go from your office to your car to your couch. Here, life spills out onto the streets, and you feel that constant, vibrant sense of community. Adjusting to this pace means letting go of that Northern European sense of urgency. It means accepting that things might not happen today, but they'll get done. It means learning to actually enjoy the pause, the chat with a shopkeeper, the unexpected conversation with a neighbor. You're basically trading a life of pure efficiency for a life of genuine connection. If you really want to feel at home in Malta, and not just like you're on a long holiday, you have to try to understand the culture. This is a country with a deep, proud, and complicated identity, shaped by thousands of years of history and a wild mix of influences. First things first, the Maltese people are incredibly warm and welcoming. Family and community are everything here. If you're invited into a Maltese home, it's a huge deal and a real sign of welcome. Always say yes, and it's polite to bring a small gift like a bottle of wine or some chocolates. Food is at the center of social life. Meals are loud, happy, and there's always tons of food. Complimenting the cooking is a must, and cleaning your plate is the best way to show you enjoyed it. Language is your key to fitting in. One of Malta's biggest selling points for expats is that English is an official language and almost everyone speaks it. You can get by just fine without speaking a word of Maltese, but you shouldn't. Learning just a few basic phrases, bongu, good morning, grazie, thank you, and jek joch bok, please, will completely change how people react to you. It shows respect, that you appreciate their culture, and they will be genuinely happy to hear you try. The Maltese language is totally unique. It's a Semitic language written with Latin letters, with words borrowed from Italian, French, and English. To see the real heart and soul of Malta, you have to go to a village festa. From about June to September, every town and village has a week-long party to celebrate its patron saint. And these are not quiet little events. They are spectacular explosions of faith, community, and tradition. The streets are covered in beautiful banners and statues. Brass bands march through town every night, and the whole thing is capped off with incredible fireworks displays that are a source of huge local pride and friendly competition. Going to a festa is seeing Malta at its most joyful and authentic. Social etiquette has its own little rules. Greetings are a big deal. A handshake is normal when you first meet someone. With friends, it's common to give 2 or 3 kisses on the cheek. Religion, mostly Roman Catholicism, is a big part of daily life and culture. You see it in the hundreds of churches all over the islands, but also in the more conservative values of many people, especially the older generation. When you visit a church, it's really important to dress respectfully, which means covering your shoulders and knees. Finally, a quick word on the expat bubble. In places like Sliema and St. Julian's, there are huge active communities of foreigners. It can be super easy to fall into a social circle that's made up of only other expats. These groups are an amazing source of support, especially when you first arrive. But to get the most out of being here, you have to make a real effort to step outside of it. Join a local club, take Maltese lessons, shop at the village market, have your morning coffee at the local band club. Really fitting in is about finding a balance. Enjoying the comfort of people who get where you're from, while embracing the richness of the culture you've chosen to live in. No place is perfect, and Malta is a country of beautiful and sometimes maddening contradictions. To give you the full picture, we have to be honest about the pros and the cons. Let's start with the good stuff, the things we absolutely love about living here. First, the history and beauty are just on another level. You are literally living inside a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The sheer amount of history packed into this small space, from prehistoric temples to the cities built by the Knights of St. John, is mind-blowing. The sea is your backyard. No matter where you are, you're never more than a few minutes from the stunning Mediterranean, with countless bays for swimming, diving, and boating. The climate, with over 300 days of sun, is a massive mood booster and lets you live an active outdoor life all year. Malta is also one of the safest countries in Europe, with very low crime rates. There's a powerful sense of community, and people generally look out for each other. The food is fantastic, a delicious mix of Mediterranean flavors. And the expat community is large and welcoming, which makes it easy to build a social network when you first arrive. Now for the bad, or maybe the challenging realities. The number one complaint you will hear from locals and expats is the traffic. For such a tiny island, the congestion is insane, a result of too many cars and a road network that just can't keep up. This is closely followed by overdevelopment and construction. Malta is constantly changing, and the endless construction means noise, dust, and a shifting landscape that worries a lot of people. The summer tourist season can be overwhelming. The population swells, beaches get crowded, and prices for some things can go up. A lot of expats also get island fever, a feeling of being a bit trapped or claustrophobic, especially if you're used to wide open spaces. And finally, while the cost of living is decent, it's not as cheap as it used to be, and rising rents are a real problem. And then, there is the bureaucracy. This deserves its own category because it is a defining part of the expat experience. Dealing with any government office, whether it's for residency permits, car registration, or setting up a business, requires a heroic amount of patience. The process can be confusing and incredibly slow. Paperwork is king. The best advice we can give you is to be over-prepared. Bring originals and multiple copies of every single document you can possibly think of. Be polite, but be persistent. And just accept that it will probably take longer than you think it should. For non-EU citizens, getting through the visa and residency process is a major challenge, often requiring proof of serious financial assets or investment, with rules that have been updated for 2025. Look, you have to understand that Malta's charm is tied up with its challenges. You can't have the ancient, winding village streets without the traffic they cause. You can't have the vibrant, growing economy without the construction that comes with it. Learning to love Malta is about embracing the whole package. So, after navigating the maze of bureaucracy, sitting in all that traffic, and embracing the glorious chaos of it all, we get to the final question. Was it worth it? For us, the answer is a huge, definite yes. But it's a yes with an asterisk. Malta is not a plug-and-play paradise. It's a country that really asks you to adapt. It will test your patience and force you to slow down. If you come here expecting the seamless efficiency of Northern Europe or North America, you will be frustrated all the time. If you're looking for huge, empty landscapes, you will feel closed in. But if you come with an open mind and a willingness to embrace its unique character, Malta rewards you in ways we never saw coming. Living here has fundamentally changed us. We've learned to be more patient, to find real joy in small, daily interactions. We've learned that community isn't just a nice word, it's the foundation of a happy life. We've traded a life of convenience for a life of richness and connection. We don't see a traffic jam as just a delay anymore. Sometimes it's a chance to listen to a whole album or call a friend. We've learned to love the rhythm of the seasons, from the first swim of the year to the winter storms that crash against the coast. Our verdict is this: Malta is an incredible place to live if your priorities match what it offers. If you value history, community, safety, and a deep connection to the sea and the sun, then the frustrations are a small price to pay. It's a place for people who want to be active participants in the culture around them, not just casual observers. Our single most important piece of advice for anyone thinking about this move is this: do not sell your house and move your entire life here based on a one-week holiday in July. If you can, come for a longer stay. And you absolutely must visit in both the summer and the winter. Experience the glorious, sun-drenched peak season and the quiet, sometimes damp off-season. See how the island feels when it's buzzing with tourists and when it's just the locals. Talk to people, both expats and Maltese. Ask them the tough questions. See if the reality of this island, in all its beautiful imperfection, is a reality you can call home. So, that's our story and our guide to expat life in Malta. But this is just our journey, and every single person who moves here has their own unique story. And that's where you come in. If you live in Malta or you're planning a move, what's the one piece of advice you would give? What's been your biggest surprise or your greatest challenge? Please share your experience and your questions in the comments below. Let's build a real, honest resource for everyone who is thinking about making a life on this incredible island. And of course, if you found this guide helpful and you want to see more about life in Malta, from exploring the hidden gems of Gozo to a step-by-step guide on the rental market, then please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. It really helps our channel grow and lets us create more videos like this one. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.